Wild racing last Monday evening at Road Atlanta has us California dreaming for a good one tonight. Welcome to the Pacific Challenge Cup Series on Pit Stop TV. Emerson Arden with JP Casa alongside, and it's the season finale of the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series. And we're joining you tonight from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter this evening at the virtual WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca, in virtual Monterey, California. JP, let's go through this wild joyride that is this 11-turn road course. A lot of elevation change. JP, what can you tell us about it?
I mean, it's just one of the fantastic circuits. You know, it's extremely difficult to overtake, but I'm pretty sure the drivers will find a way to do it just like they did last week at Road Atlanta. Drivers are going to be going flat out as they head into the small kink of turn 1 into the Andrade hairpin, one of the biggest braking points in this circuit, one of the main overtaking opportunities as well, as they head into a quick straight into turn 3, small straight again into turn 4. Very easy to make mistakes, to run wide and get caught in that magnet of a dirt that you have. Then a small straight with a small kink into the uphill entry of turn 5. Then you go uphill into the blind corner of turn 6. Definitely the most challenging corner on this circuit. And then you head into the Rahal straight to the famous and lovely corkscrew as you head downhill now into the rainy curve of turn 9 and turn 10 for the 90-degree corner of turn 11. That's just one lap of the roller coaster. This 3.6 kilometer circuit is going to be amazing to see all these drivers tackling their Porsches on this circuit. Is just going to be a big challenge, and I can't wait to see.
Absolutely. With qualifying underway, we have a couple more housekeeping things to hit up here. Of course, the point standings. This is the season finale. Nick Ludicky has a 73-point margin over Brady Lubenow. The important thing here to note is the max points you can get in one night of the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series is 70 points. However, there's still some, intensity trying to solidify this number, so we'll leave it at that. But Nick Ludicky has the margin to cover tonight's race, even if he gets a goose egg in the points column tonight. Now, penalty provided, this could change as well, but for now, Nick Ludicky looks very set to take on this championship with his 6 sprint race wins and 4 feature wins. He's missing one. That one checkered flag goes to the second place driver and points Brady Lubenow, who's 73 back. And now, this is what I really want to get to. Mikael Ruderbusch, James Hansen are tied for third in the standings, 123 back. Basically, whoever outdoes the other in both sprint races and the feature race overall gets third in the standings. JP, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch tonight. Corey Peters there, 142 back in 4th. He's made it into the session. Chris Brunnemer not here tonight at the moment. We're in the qualifying. He still has the 12 minutes to try to make it. Chris Brunnemer is not in the session tonight, 160 points back. Wade Hayes, 173 back, has 1 point over BC Voigt. And we don't see Wade Hayes in the session. BC Voigt could be overtaking Wade Hayes and potentially Chris Brunnemer as well for 6th in the standings. Curtis Jones not here in 9th, and Christian Gerges rounding out the top 10 in the standings. JP, what do you make of that points picture?
I mean, it's just so close and a lot to play out here tonight. I'm looking at the point standings for both Mikael Ruderbusch and James Hansen, and as soon as one had a bad weekend, a bad week, obviously feature race and sprint race, the other came in clutch and just got a bunch of points over the other. But it seems to be so balanced between these two, it's just one topping the other. And it's going to be extremely interesting to see who comes out on top here tonight, who has the advantage. And obviously, it's still not done for 6th place. Chris Brunnemer currently not in the session, but Wade Hayes, BC Voigt, and Curtis Jones all within 4 points. This is going to get spicy in these races, and, well, it's all to play out for these guys.
Absolutely, and we have only 7 drivers in the session at the moment, but there's still 11 minutes for this to change. I want to take a look at this schedule on JP and how we got to this point, how Nick Ludicky has a 73-point gap. And you look at the schedule with the 2 Germany races and the 2 races here in the States and the excursion out to Oran Park, JP. This month of May that we usually say month of May when we're referring to IndyCar racing, but this month of May for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series has been a wild one for sure. Road Atlanta is definitely one of my favorites. What would you say is your favorite? And then how do you, run down the road on how we got here in the first 4 races?
I'd say this is the month of Nick Ludicky. He just lost 1 race in Road Atlanta. The rest was all his name on the top step of the podium. it was just amazing. My favorite race was definitely Road Atlanta. It's my favorite racetrack out of these 5. Not saying that the other 4 are bad, not by any means. Nürburgring, Orem Park, Hockenheimring, and obviously Laguna Seca are amazing racetrack on its own, and all of them produce great racing, you know, throughout the races that we had, the sprint, the feature, all that sort of stuff. So it's hard picking one, but for me, I'm gonna take it down to Road Atlanta, and well, I can't wait to see Laguna. Hopefully he can top out what we saw last week, because last week was wild.
Absolutely. And man, Road Atlanta is such a great circuit. It produced a lot of battles and overtakings. We had a 6-car pile up on the start of the feature race. We had it all and then some. So we got really spoiled last week at Road Atlanta. A smaller field today, but already 5 cars smaller at the moment with 9.5 minutes left in qualifying. This can change. But yeah, again, this is the season finale for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series. It's been a wild ride to get here, and a wild ride it's been over the past 3 seasons now. We covered them when they were the Northwest GT3 Series, the Pacific Challenge GT3 Challenge, and now the Porsche Cup Series. JP, the ride we've had so far with the Pacific Challenge and how it's evolved from the Northwest Series, the Pacific, to the Porsche Cup Series we know today. I mean, and you've been able to kind of follow it from, you know, all 3 little divisions, if you will, little series, if you will. I mean, what does it mean to you to, you know, be here yet another season finale?
I mean, it's just fantastic. As you mentioned, it was back in the days of the Northwest GT3 Challenge, and you know, it was just amazing seeing these guys progress from one car to the other, seeing the same names over and over, you know, just seeing how no one has changed essentially. You know, the personality is still the same, the drive to win is still the same, and well, it's very, very special being at one more finale here tonight, and hopefully they can make it a good one, because the last 2 or 3 seasons had been amazing. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be more of the same, a fantastic finale for a fantastic series.
Absolutely. And with a night like tonight here in the United States, for many of these drivers and myself, you know, today is Memorial Day, and we give thanks to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice when it came to fighting for this country, to give the likes like you and I the freedoms to do what we can, to do what we do, and to enjoy some great sim racing like this, and all of our, you know, the little minute things in our everyday lives, you know, come from those who gave us the ultimate sacrifice. So once again, just want to give a major thanks to all of those who, you know, served in our military, but especially remembering those who gave their lives to defend this great country. So we'll leave it at that. We have 7.5 minutes left in qualifying. Leave it on that note. We will be right back with the rest of our qualification action in our 2 sprint races and our 1 feature race here tonight at Laguna Seca. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back, race fans, to Pit Stop TV. We're here for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca in Monterey County, California. JP, a beautiful, beautiful American road racing track. Back-to-back weeks. We had Road Atlanta with the great showing that it was. And tonight here with Laguna Seca, all the hype is on for tonight's race. 7 cars in tonight's field right now as qualifying is wrapping up. And Nick Ludicky looking pretty set for a championship tonight. Crowning a champion tonight. Nonetheless, will it be Nick Ludicky? We'll have to find out in about, what, an hour's worth of racing and then some. But here we are, Laguna Seca once again. Let's talk about what's coming up next for the channel here, Pit Stop TV. Tomorrow night, the Nork iRacing Series, Nork Season 13, will take to the big, bad iRacing Super Speedway. If you don't know what that is, if you played it in 2003, you might remember Coca-Cola Super Speedway. If you haven't experienced Coca-Cola Super Speedway, man oh man, iRacing Super Speedway is gnarly. It has some wicked banking. I believe we're in the range like 40 degrees of banking in the turns. For NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, you're basically driving sideways. That is going to be a wild time tonight, or tomorrow night, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday evening, we have the BRP Asphalt Modified Tour. They're taking to the now defunct Concord Speedway Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And the BRP, their Pro Late Model Season 2 Tour takes to Tony Stewart's Eldora Speedway out there in the middle of Ohio, Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. A lot of great racing coming up in the next week or so. And again, only Pit Stop TV is where you can find it. Again, I want to shout out the social media outlets for here at Pit Stop TV. Again, Facebook at facebook.com/PitStopTV. Twitter, twitter.com/PitStopTV. Instagram at Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV. And YouTube at youtube.com/C/PitStopTV1. That's where you can find all of our outlets. Once again, JP Costa on the mic with me this evening. Myself, Eric gave me a lot of praise in the BRP broadcast. I guess I'll give myself some praise for pulling double duty tonight in more ways than one. I was on production and Eric's co-commentator on the BRP iRacing Series broadcast at Weed Sport. A phenomenal race. The race leader was upside down with 25 laps to go. You want to go back and watch that after tonight's broadcast. Wild race. 4 cars under a blanket in the final 15 laps of the race lead. Make sure you go check out that. And then tonight here at the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series, we're crowning a champion tonight. So very special night. Both of the events we're hosting tonight on Memorial Day, and I'm glad to be a part of both of them. JP, we're here, Laguna Seca, a minute left in qualifying. What are you feeling for tonight?
I'm feeling so excited. It's just going to be great racing. It's going to be a different challenge for some of these drivers. Qualifying is relatively close. the second and third position are extremely close. Obviously, the big battle, I guess, other than Nick Ludicky and Brady Lubenow, is Ruderbusch and Hansen, and they're separated by less than 0.2 of a second, by a bit more than 0.2 of a second, I should say. So it's going to be extremely close, seeing how the championship kind of fades out, not only between Nick and the possibility of him being a high possibility of him being a champion, but obviously that battle for third place. It's going to be extremely interesting to see with how close those two are.
Absolutely, and at the moment we're just pretty much waiting for the session to tick over here. 15 seconds left in qualifying. You see the qualifying run on the left side of your screen. That's going to be the starting order for sprint race number 1, and of course sprint race number 1 is a 15-minute sprint race that's again set by the qualifying order. At the end of those 15 minutes, we'll flip that grid for sprint race number 2, and they will run through a 15-minute sprint race here, and then we will get to the 30-minute feature race with 30% fuel loads that will encourage a pit stop. That will be a flipped grid of sprint race number 2. But JP, it's time for us to go through our starting lineup, and let's go through it. Row number 1, we'll find Nick Ludicky, our current points leader. He'll be starting alongside Brady Lubenow. Row number 2, we'll find Mikael Ruderbusch and James Hansen. JP.
In row number 3, we do have Corey Peters and BC Voigt on the outside lane. And finally, in P7, we do have Jimmy Allen in his 17 Porsche.
So 7 drivers for tonight's race here at Laguna Seca. Should be a fun night. And again, these drivers. So there was an issue pre-race where there was a mistake with the first session that was set up. So this session had to be remade, and this session has a cooler track temperature. So these drivers found the drivability of these cars a much better, much preferred, I guess, if you will. And I think that should produce great racing. If the drivers like the way these cars handle at this track, why should it not? But here we go. The drivers, they have gridded up. It is time to bring the action here at Laguna Seca for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series. We're green in sprint race number 1. Nick Ludicky out and away in front of the rest of the field by 0.9 of a second across that scoring loop right there. Saw him get a little bit of grass. He is giving it his all in these sprint races, even though he has a 73-point lead, and he can literally just ride and coast to a potential championship tonight. He is out in front, and he's giving it his all. Brady Lubenow bringing up second place, having to go heavy defense against Mikael Ruderbusch. Remember, Mikael Ruderbusch and James Hansen duking it out for third in the standings. They are tied coming into tonight's race. Right now, point to Ruderbusch. Nick Ludicky might have had a bad corkscrew coming through turn 9. Brady Lubenow is there.
Yeah, looks like Brady got an extremely better run out of the Ray Hall straight, and look at him applying pressure, trying to go around the outside of the final corner. Can he put the bumper? Look at Mikael Ruderbusch. Now he went on the inside. He's probably not going to have as great of a run, as looks like Brady now gets the advantage of the slipstream, but Mikael kind of does have the tiny bit of a bumper. Maybe the license plate of his Porsche is alongside, and he might have position down the inside. No, Brady closes the door. Nicely done, and well, he's going to be trying to apply pressure to Nick, but Nick seems to be strong in the first sector of the racetrack.
Absolutely, Nick Ludicky. That first sector speaks volumes to him, and you know what? It's a lot of 90-degree corners. Those 90-degree corners, I guess, suit a certain type of driver, because you kind of have to drive them all similar, and maybe a perfectionist can really nail them, or because there's so many 90-degree corners in so many different directions that it may catch out other drivers. What do you think, JP?
Well, obviously, some drivers do prefer the heavy braking zone that sometimes the 90-degree corner offers. Obviously, that bit of precision, but also may be due to the setup. The car may be finally tuned to that first sector a bit more than the second and third, so that might also have him a preference. But at the moment, it looks like his car is finally tuned for the circuit. Might have been just an odd mistake last time out, because he's just bolting away. Even though it's half a second, it's bigger than what we saw at the line, and well, he seems to be doing what he does best, just leading off and controlling the pace.
Nick Ludicky there, he caught some grass, some dirt there on the exit of turn number 10. So you're gonna keep watching that, because you know how these cars, you've driven on a sim before. I have as well. I've experienced this a lot. If you get those rear tires a little too far out wide into the grass, either in corner entry or corner exit, you're gonna go around.
Yeah, exactly. On pretty much any car that doesn't have ABS, even if it has ABS, to be honest, if you just brake outside of the tarmac and outside of the curb, your car is just gonna spin out of control. There's absolutely nothing you can do. So it's a gain of fine margins between these drivers. Obviously, they're trying to find as much pace as possible, but you know, with doing that, you're risking everything essentially to get that extra bit of pace, that extra tenth of a second to make you faster or get a better exit. As just as we mentioned, James Henson looks like
into the barrier.
he goes hard. He side slams into the barrier on the exit of turn 5. Just as we mentioned, that's the game of fine margins between these drivers.
Try to get a replay here. Having a hard time trying to coordinate the replay, so bear with me. I'm trying to coordinate it here. Looks like we're not going to be able to. But James Hansen there off of turn number 5. Man, that's such a tough corner. I mean, again, like all those corners, you're trying to nail them the best you can. Those 90-degree corners, it comes out to wide entry, wide exit. Can you nail the wide entries and the wide exits? And Hansen maybe trying to carry a little too much speed through turn 5. What make you, JP?
Yeah, exactly. Turn 5, essentially the corner kind of, you know, it's a late apex that you kind of have to stretch out wide. Sometimes you just think you're in the right lane to get the perfect racing line, but sometimes the car just drifts out a bit too wide. Obviously, it's kind of hard to say if he lost on the grass, on the dirt, or if he was already losing the car on the exit corner, because obviously these cars don't have traction control. So it's kind of hard to say, but unfortunately a small mistake on a very, very difficult corner, might cost him a lot in the championship. Obviously, remember, still have 2 races left, and if he finishes like this, he's going to be starting pole for the second sprint race, so it could be still a complete turn out of events. So you know, it's not over yet. I guess the best that I can say is just Nick Ludicky doing Nick Ludicky stuff. You know, it's the Nick that we saw throughout the month of May, essentially. You know, he just won each and every single race other than one. So, I mean, that just tells you everything you need to know. When, you know, a driver is starting from the back of the grid on a sprint or feature race and he's still winning, that just tells you a lot, you know, about the capability of not only going fast and keeping himself consistent, but the ability to overtake and keep his car clean in order to do that over and over again. So it's just an amazing feature for someone to win that many races, and well, he definitely deserves it.
Absolutely. And here you look at this midfield battle here with Brady Lubin now, you know, trying his hardest to stay here with Ludicky, and Ruderbush trying to give it his all to continue his charge for second there in the stands. Of course, James Hansen having his mistake is gonna, give Mikhail Ruderbush third in the standings. James Hansen's mistake is gonna help out Ruderbush in that regard. But with 8 minutes left here in heat race number 1, we're just trying to see what's gonna happen here.
It's definitely going to be an interesting turnaround for events of the championship. Obviously, Brady wants to finish ahead. He has to finish ahead of Nick to essentially have that slim chance of the championship. It's pretty much impossible, but as a driver, you never give up. And obviously, Mikhail has to finish ahead of Brady to help his chance, because there's still 2 races to go. He has to get as many points as possible in order to try and break free of James Hansen, who now finds himself in P6. So he found 1 position, as Jimmy Allen looks like he may have made a small mistake. But you know, it's still going to be interesting to see how that gap evolves, as Mikhail right now unfortunately loses a bit of contact and finds himself 1.1 seconds behind Brady.
Absolutely. Continuing on here. Nick Ludicky on an absolute roll at Laguna Seca. And again, I'd say let's go on board here. Trying to get us to what's going on here. And then let's go on board with Brady Lubenow to see how he's going to attack the way to catch Nick Ludicky here. And all these 90-degree corners right here, turn 3. They go a little, I misses the apex there in 3, but that may be on purpose. Turn 4 here. He's trying to stay off the curbing. All over the exit curbing, but that curbing at the apex, how much can it affect one of these Porsche Cup cars?
I mean, you just saw it's that magnet over there that essentially just pulls your car in. Well, it's essential, obviously, to hit the apex. Turn 3, I guess, one of the easiest apex on the sim to kind of essentially just kiss a little or just miss out, as Nick now just completely goes wide into the exit of turn 6, but manages to keep the car on the tarmac. But yeah, it's on this circuit, obviously, it's as important to just keep hitting those apexes. You don't want to hit those bright red, you know, essentially sausage curbs, because those are really going to unsettle the car and may cause some damage as well. So you got to steer clear of those, but the rest you just have to essentially nail to get fast lap time and essentially the best line possible through the corners.
Absolutely. You can see how hard he's attacking. He's keeping up with Nick Ludicky, but not really able to make any hay. With that being said, Nick Ludicky, I mean, had a much better exit there through turn 11. You see him gap down the straightaway.
Yeah, exactly. It's just those small gains that allow Nick to slowly build that gap. It's kind of hard to say if he's really pushing the maximum that he can, or he's just controlling the pace, because obviously right now he's 1.8 seconds ahead of Brady, so he's out of that slipstream range. But, you know, just keeping his car there, keeping as a target, I guess, can kind of unsettle Brady, you know, just making him push a little bit more to try and catch, and he may just be controlling the pace. As soon as he wants, he may just bolt away. So it's kind of hard to exactly say what his plan is, but definitely Brady's definitely feeling the pressure from Mikel just behind him.
Absolutely. Let's see. Look, there's Ruderbush right there on the back end. Brady Lubenow, Mikel Ruderbush, can he take second in this heat race?
That's definitely what he needs and what he wants to do. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be holding back anymore, because he only has 4 minutes to go, and he has to make this position to try and eke out as many points as he can from James Hansen. But it's one of the most difficult tracks to overtake. You essentially only have turn 1 unless someone makes a mistake. So Brady, he has made a few mistakes throughout the season, but it generally was during the start phase of the race. Now he's completely settled into his car, so I don't expect to see any mistakes, but I'm sure Mikel is definitely going to be pushing him to the limit.
Absolutely. I mean, Mikel Ruderbush keeping Lubenow honest, and remember, this is all going to flip in the sprint in the second sprint race here. Will Lubenow be able to keep Ruderbush behind? I'm sorry, keep up with Mikel Ruderbush? Is Ruderbush faster than Lubenow? And is Lubenow holding up Ruderbush, or is this Ruderbush maybe just learning from Lubenow?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a great point to watch on the second sprint race. But obviously, Brady, I've noticed so far that Brady seems to nail the launch on these cars. He seems to, if not past Nick, he always seems to be going side by side with him on the run down into turn 1. So don't be surprised if you see Brady once again ahead of Mikel on the start phase as soon as those car launches, because he seems to be nailed down to perfection the launch of this car. So if Mikel wants to keep Brady behind, he definitely has to nail that launch. But that's talk for the next race. So far, Mikel has to try and make that move happen within 3 minutes.
We were catching up with Ruderbush here, but that was a big off track there for Brady Lubenow. Coming off of turn number 5. Huge moment. Lubenow able to hold on to second. What a drive.
Exactly. That was a fantastic save, and I'm just going to say it's me and my commentator's curse. Every single time I mention something, the complete opposite happens on the racetrack. Just as I mentioned that Brady doesn't make mistakes throughout the race and seems to be settling with his car, 1 lap later he just goes off on turn 5. So I'm not gonna mention a lot anymore. He misses the exit of turn 11, and he's going to be under pressure on the run down into turn 1. He seems to be feeling the pressure and start making mistakes. Ruderbush is going to be looking on the outside. Can he outbrake Brady? Doesn't look like. Can he probably get a better line and essentially get a cutback line into turn 3? Looks like Brady may have that covered, but the pressure is definitely building as they head into essentially 2 laps to go.
Yeah, again, the lap times here, I think we're only going to get 2 laps. With the times they're running about 1 minute 24, as you saw Ludicky's fastest lap on the screen for a bit there. And again, this battle for second, Lubenow, Ruderbush going at it. Ruderbush has, third in the standings to fight for. Lubenow, he's got like a 50-point margin over Ruderbush. He doesn't really have much to gain battling it out with Ruderbush, other than, if he lets Ruderbush by, he can have a better starting spot for the heat by a row. Or not even. They'd be on the same row nonetheless, actually, because Ludicky would be 7th.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a lot to gain, but definitely the bragging rights of finishing second. I'm pretty sure these guys can call it first because Nick seems to be on another league of its own on each and every single race, but I'm pretty sure no one is going to be willing to give out the position, especially on the last race of the season. And, well, Brady, he still has 11 corners ahead of him. Mikel still has 11 opportunities ahead of him. I'm interested to see what's going to happen on this final lap of the first sprint race. And, well, I mean, it's everything to play out for Brady, still in second place in the championship. Mikel in third place. James Hansen has moved himself into 5th place, still quite a few points behind. And look at Mikel Ruderbush just closing. He definitely is pushing on the final lap. And Brady is definitely feeling the pressure as they head into turn 4.
Through turn 4 for the final time in sprint race number 1. Lubenow doing a phenomenal job holding on to second position over Mikel Ruderbush. Through turn 5 now. This was Lubenow's mistake corner a couple laps ago. He'll keep it on the track this time. Now we go up the hill on the way to the Ray Hall straight, coming through out of turn number 6. Lubenow all over the curbing there on the exit, but he'll hold station. Does Ruderbush have any last hurrahs for Brady Lubenow? Into the corkscrew for the final time. The defense from Lubenow. Now there's a couple more passing opportunities, a couple more sends that Mikel Ruderbush can do as we come through turn 9 on the way to the final 2 corners. It looks like it's going to have to be a last-ditch effort if Mikel Ruderbush is going to get there, but Lubenow's opened up his margin now into turn 11 for the final time, and out of turn 11 for the final time in sprint race number 1, Nick Ludicky gets even more points to his championship bid.
Exactly, a perfect race for him, led each and every single lap, just as we're used to it. And, well, I guess I'm not going to call it as well, but I'm pretty sure it's mathematically impossible. It was already, but pretty sure now we are going to call it at the end of the race. But a fantastic drive from a fantastic champion. As Brady finishes 2nd, Mikel Ruderbush finishes 3rd, Peters in 4th, BC Voigt in 5th. So it looks like James Hansen may have lost that 5th place on the final lap, so that might cost him that 3rd place in the championship. Only time will tell, but looks like another mistake may have cost him a position.
Right, remember, Ruderbush, they came in tied, Ruderbush and Hansen, so now what? If the point standing is 1 point of position, I don't believe that's how it is, but Ruderbush gets that advantage now, but that can all change here in sprint race number 2. Get a grid going here. How about row number 1 there with Jimmy Allen and James Hansen making up row number 1. Row number 2 with BC Voigt and Corey Peters. Row number 3 we'll find Mikel Ruderbush and Brady Lubenow. And row number 4, our sprint race 1 winner, Nick Ludicky. JP, this is going to be a fun little sprint race here. Again, Nick Ludicky has to come from the back like he usually has to in sprint race number 2. I guess what's the over-under on what lap he'll get there?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm probably going to guess it's going to be on the 2nd to last lap. I'm going to put my bets on it because if these guys don't make mistakes, it's going to be extremely difficult to try and make a last dive attempt. But, if anyone can do it, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Nick.
Absolutely. And here we go. We're just awaiting the final drivers to grid up here. And there we go. The grid time has gone through. Jimmy Allen will be on the front row with James Hansen. And we are green from Laguna Seca once again. through the first set of corners. Nick Ludicky, Brady Lubenow, they have not moved up any spots. They are still 6th and 7th. James Hansen has cleared Jimmy Allen of the race lead through into the hairpin, the Andretti hairpin in turn 2. And now Jimmy Allen trying to put on his best effort. Can he try to get a sprint race victory here from James Hansen? Of course, 14 minutes left in this sprint race, but Jimmy Allen putting up a fight.
Not only, but look at third place, who we already have in third place. That's Mikael Ruderbusch. A fantastic start, fantastically aggressive start from him. He made moves into turn 3. He made moves on the exit of turn 6. So he's definitely on fire. He's definitely already looking to pass Jimmy Allen. And we're going to have a titanic battle, as looks like Brady Lubenow might be going on the inside of Corey Peters on the last corner. He goes down the inside and makes the move work. And well, boy, we do have a race, as Nick Ludicky seems to be taking it a bit slow. Still in 6th place, but plenty of racing to go.
Well, you know what? I think it comes down to this. Remember, the way for Nick Ludicky to lose this championship comes down to, like, if he gets penalized. So if he just takes it easy, he doesn't make any contact with anybody, he can't get penalized, can he?
Definitely not. I mean, there's absolutely no chance in that. And well, if he, as you mentioned, just has to keep it clean, he's probably just going to be applying the pressure and allowing the driver ahead of him to make a mistake on his own. Definitely it's one of the safest bets to overtake, but definitely it requires a lot of patience and a lot of good discipline. And well, I'm pretty sure Nick has plenty of those.
So the field roars through turn number 6 once again. This is Ruderbusch putting on a fight to Jimmy Allen into the corkscrew. Here we go, car off the track. That's Corey Peters.
Small mistake into the exit of turn 6. That magnet there just pulls your car in.
Oh, and around goes
as
somebody
we
else.
do, looks like Allen.
That is Jimmy Allen. Oh, cars have to come to a stop at the top of the hill. Corey Peters, BC Voigt. Big moment at the top of the corkscrew.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happened, because his car was facing the opposite way on the entry. So maybe a bit of contact between Mikael Ruderbusch and Allen could have made that car spin around. We're going to take a look on the replay and see what happened.
Well, here we go. We're going to go back actually to all the way back here to what happened to Corey Peters. His fastest laps are coming in now. Corey Peters in that green Porsche. Here we go through turn 6. Just runs a little wide. And then he'll kind of catch himself back off the track here. Here we go. Ruderbusch and Jimmy Allen going at it into the corkscrew. And Jimmy Allen just tries, I think he outbroke himself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not pretty sure if his rear brakes just
Oh,
locked,
man.
but oh, and amazing avoidance by those two right behind him, BC Voigt and Corey Peters. But I'm just gonna give it a safe bet and I'm gonna say that his rear brakes just locked, and unfortunately for him, if he finds himself in second to last place. So an unfortunate sets of instances. We're gonna take a look on the onboard of BC Voigt. We're gonna have 2 close calls here.
Over the hill, and I think he locked it up, he didn't see anything until he got over the crest.
Yeah, exactly. If he took the racing line, he would probably be okay, but at that point it's kind of target fixation, and you just stay glued to that target of a car on the middle of the road. And essentially for him, unfortunately, he just had to slam on the brakes to avoid any damage and contact. But luckily for him, he's still on the racetrack. His car's still in one piece. But look at this now. Hansen to Ruderbusch to Brady, and then Nick Ludicky. So the top 4 battle in the opposite way. We found ourselves at the end of sprint race number 1. It's going to be interesting to see who has the overall pace and who can make the move work.
Absolutely. Brady Lubenow now on the back end of Mikael Ruderbusch. Remember, this is the inverse of what we saw in sprint race number 1.
Yeah, exactly. This is essentially qualifying on the opposite. If Hansen can keep it clean, Lubenow and Ludicky can be his best friends, because if Brady can get past Ruderbusch, they're gonna slow him down, allow Hansen to essentially move up the road, essentially get free time. And at that point in time, I'm pretty sure Nick is gonna be lining that move as well. So Ruderbusch has to be in a nice balance between attacking Hansen and keeping the pressure up, to also soaking in all the pressure, not only from Brady Lubenow, but also from Nick Ludicky.
Here comes Ludicky peeking on Lubenow, not gonna get there though.
Exactly. He seems to be racy. I'm not pretty sure if he wants to make this move. He still has nearly 10 minutes to go, so it's gonna be interesting to see if these guys can make the whole race without a mistake. Henson made a mistake on his own on sprint race number 1. I'm pretty sure he learned, as now Ruderbusch is forced to go defensive by Lubinow, and look at Ludicky right behind him. So the exit is going to be compromised by those two. Nick doesn't seem to be getting the best of runs, but Brady is definitely going to be forced down the outside as they head into turn 2.
Ruderbusch being very defensive into turn number 1. Here comes Lubinow around the outside, a lock up for James Hansen. Lubinow's going off the track.
Oh, completely outbroke himself. I thought that was brave, but unfortunately for him, just completely missed his braking point. Luckily for him, they have a massive gap to Corey Peters, and he's just gonna feed off into P4 at this moment. Unfortunately for him, looks like Hansen also had a small luck up, so he's definitely gonna be feeling the pressure from Ruderbusch.
Absolutely, we're gonna try. Here we go. Ruderbusch to the inside of James Hansen. Contact. Ruderbusch trying to take the lead.
Hansen is going to be obliged to yield, or is he going to brave around the outside? He is. That's brave, that's bold. He's going to be pulled into the dirt. And look at Nick Ludicky. Can he make it on the outside of the corkscrew? He's definitely going to be trying. Ruderbusch on the inside and Ludicky on the outside. Nick clears him.
A 2-for-1 special for Nick Ludicky. He goes from 3rd to 1st in 2 corners.
That was absolutely precise, clinical, bold, beautiful. I'm running out of words. That was just fantastic. A perfect set of circumstances, just aligning his car perfectly. And then just to be that brave on the braking, that was amazing. Looks like Mikael Ruderbusch is not happy with that. Might not be completely satisfied by being P1 for only 2 corners, and he'll definitely be wanting a revenge.
So we're going to go back and watch a lot of this unfold. Here we go. And here we go, across the start finish. This is all the way back. We're going to watch this whole lap back. This is Lubinow trying to outbrake Raquel Ruderbusch right there. Hansen outbrakes himself as well. Lubinow goes off the track. Hansen continues on. And now here comes Ruderbusch to put the pressure on Hansen. And they go double wide from turn 2. Here we go through turn 3. Raquel Ruderbusch hangs out there. Ludicky in behind. Here we go through turn 4. They're still side by side. Now down the straightaway to turn number 5. Ludicky wants to take it 3 wide. But he wanted to. He peeked to the inside of Ruderbusch. He didn't. But now into turn 5. They were still side by side. Up the hill to turn 6. These boys were at it. And they were going at it. Ruderbusch wanted it more. And that's essentially what happened off of turn 6. Hansen got a little wide. Ruderbusch now played the fence. And then Ludicky just around the outside into the corkscrew. Beautiful job, outbreaks Ruderbusch and takes over the lead of this race. What a phenomenal job, what a phenomenal lap.
Yeah, exactly, that was brilliant from both teammates. Amazing respect, no shoulders being thrown out. That was amazing to see, just the respect between those guys. And unfortunately for Hansen, he kind of came out the worst. Obviously, he was in 1st as Nick now sets the fastest lap of the race, and he now finds himself not only in 3rd, but behind Mikael, who is his championship rival. But he seems to be having the pace to at least keep up. As you can see, just kind of getting close into turn 2, but not close enough. He still has 6 minutes, and Mikael definitely proved that it's possible to not only go side by side, but to overtake on this racetrack.
Well, here it is. I mean, we already saw Ruderbusch was 3 spots ahead of Hansen in sprint race 1, and currently ahead of Hansen now. Though Hansen has something to say about it this time. I mean, this is it. He's got to do something spectacular, James Hansen has to, if he wants 3rd in the standings from Ruderbusch. And
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
He has to, essentially, sorry if we're cutting you off, he has to pull something out of his sleeve, because at this moment, he's just going to be starting 1 position ahead of Mikael on the feature race, and sometimes that's just not enough. Mikael nailed the start on this sprint race, so I mean, Hansen has to put the hammer down, has to go aggressive. Obviously, it's his teammates, so they definitely are not going to collide, but if he wants that 3rd spot in the championship, that 3rd place, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. He essentially might be lining up a dive bomb move at any moment in time, and I'm sure Mikael is going to be watching his mirrors.
When it comes down to a championship, I don't think it matters who you're racing. Or, I mean, 3rd in the standings at the least, but when it comes down to a spot in the standings, you just got to go. And I think that's probably what's going to come down to here.
Yeah, exactly. He, as you mentioned, he just has to go essentially for the move. But obviously he has to be close. Looks like he might be losing a bit of contact in Mikael, so while you're leading, it's kind of easy to keep up that pace, because once you defend the inside line into turn 2, you don't allow the driver to go the long way around the outside. But as soon as you lock up and go a bit wide, that's what happened to Henson. You just allow that to happen. So he has to keep in close, trying to force a mistake out of Mikel and essentially get his way past. But at the moment, Mikel seems to be keeping that gap healthy while losing a bit to Nick Ludicky every lap.
Absolutely up the hill once again. And 4 minutes left in this feature race. Let's take an onboard with Mikel Ruderbush if we can, to see how he tries to chase down Nick Ludicky. Trying to get that queued up here, but that gap it's come down a little bit. It was over a second. Now it's closer to 1 second that time through. And Mikel Ruderbush, he is closing. It's not on the 9/10 of a second. Ludicky may not be home free just yet.
Yeah, exactly. Might be the same scenario we saw in the previous race. I'm not pretty sure if Nick.
Of a second.
Yeah, looks like he's definitely closing in. I'm not pretty sure if Nick has maybe a problem, some hardware issue, or he's just controlling the pace. But Mikel seems to be putting up some fast laps, and he's definitely closing that gap, not only on the time, but visually as well. So any pressure that he can put on Nick Ludicky, it's going to be essential to try and get him that extra spot.
See, Ludicky runs off the track there in 4 as well. This is something. Does Ruderbush have the pace to maybe steal a checkered flag this season like Lubenow did from Ludicky? Ruderbush he's coming.
Yeah, he's definitely coming, and he wants to be only the 3rd driver to get any sort of win in this league race so far. So I'm pretty sure he wants that crown, you know, not only finishing 3rd in the championship, but being the 3rd driver to win in the Pacific Challenge Cup Series. So he only has a second between him and Nick Ludicky as they approach what looks like 2 laps to go. So he essentially has 6 kilometers to try and find a way not only to close the gap, but to make his move stick.
We saw right there Ludicky, he took a wider line through turn 9 through Rainey's corner, and he gained a lot of time there. But Ruderbush gains it all through 10 and 11, and Ruderbush trying to put some pen to paper here on the speed he's got here at Laguna Seca. Up the hill, over the crest for turn 1, down the hill to turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin. Look at Ludicky use all that track, use the concrete there on the right-hand side.
Yeah, exactly. He's using absolutely each inch of the racetrack that he needs in order to increase that gap. It looks like he's now doing that. So even though it might be by the tiniest of margins, as you can see, just taking that curb on the inside, taking the curb on the outside as well, you know, just using absolutely every inch of the racetrack. So is Mikel, even using a bit of the dirt as he tries to close that gap in. Looks like they're pretty much matched on pace. So it's just those little inches of racetrack that you use, that little bit of mile an hour extra that you take through the apex, that makes the difference. And as you just saw on your screen as we approach the white flag, just the difference in line that those 2 drivers take through turn 9, Rainey's corner, it's just the tiniest of margins. That's just down to personal preference, but looks like that personal preference might be going the way of Nick as he heads into the final lap. Increase that gap from, I guess, 0.8 of a second on the last lap to over 1.5. So he's definitely pushing on this last lap. We may see the fastest lap of the race on this lap as James Henson dropped off, unfortunately, 5.6 seconds, as Ruderbush may have struggled through turn 2 as he now drops well over 1.8 behind. And look at Nick, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a fastest lap incoming, because he's definitely pushing to the absolute limit on this final lap, nearly losing the car in the Rahal straight on the exit of turn 6 as he heads down the corkscrew into Rainy corner, turn number 9. as he heads now into the big braking zone of turn 10. Easy to get it wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is just gonna nail it. Misses a bit of the apex. Still, pretty much inch perfect as he now heads into the final corner, turn 11, and he makes it yet again. Another last to first, drifting across the exit of turn 11, celebrating with his pit crew. Yet another win in the Pacific Challenge Cup Series.
Nick Ludicky, a phenomenal job. He's going to light him up on his way to the Andretti hairpin. And my mic was muted there on the final lap, so perfect timing. But I was saying, we were getting to the point now with where Brady Lubenow is going to end up in this race, or in this sprint race, that it makes it all the more difficult to say that Nick Ludicky is not going to take home this championship tonight. But we will see what he thinks in just a moment. Our double sprint race winner. We'll try to get a word of him here in the warm-up session. Let's see if we can here. We have 7 drivers here, and we'll try to bring him on down. Nick Ludicky, double sprint race victories here at Laguna Seca once again. One more checkered flag left on the season, and well on your way to that championship that hangs out in front of you in about 40 minutes time. Nick, talk about those runs in those first 2 sprint races and the last and first challenge once again in sprint race 2.
Quite exciting. I didn't actually think that they were going to keep up with me that long in the first heat. Coming through to the second, I was struggling to get through traffic. It seems like this is probably, I thought last week was hard to make an overtake at, trying to think, I'm blanking. Was it Road Atlanta? And then now we're on to this week, and it's a pain. It's a pain to get around here. So in order to overtake, you really need to not only have a lot of pace, but avoid the dirty air and that understeer that comes along with it. So it's been a tough run so far, but hopefully we can do the same in the future.
So Laguna Seca, there's a lot of 90-degree corners. We see you kick up a lot of dirt on corner exit. Is that even a thing that you think about? How wide you're going on exit? Maybe just knowing that sometimes on the sim you clip the rear tires a little wrong on the exit and around she goes. Is that ever on your mind, or just you're so comfortable at Laguna Seca that you don't it doesn't faze you?
Now, so I know the clipping the outside, whether it be grass or sand, dirt, whatever, in a simulator can be quite deadly to any car. But here, I know as long as I can get to the apex, getting on power and the main thing is having my wheel straight. I'm not really too concerned about turning the car, although I have had a couple moments where I thought that I was going to end up in the bins, the corner leading up to the corkscrew. As well as in Heat 1, I actually caught the, coming into the corkscrew and actually on the exit, caught that sand on the right side, and I was worried that I was either going to get a slowdown or spin the car. But these things happen when you're on the limit, so you got to keep on pushing and hope that it doesn't end up costing you a win or a race.
Right, at this point, it took you, I guess, unusually long to make an overtake in this second sprint race. I say that because we're just so used to you flying up through the field and halfway up the running order, coming through the first, coming across the first sector line. But you took a little bit there. Was that you more or less just trying to stay out of, other people's ways, I guess, if you will, just because, I guess the only way for you to lose the championship at this point is some massive penalty?
A bit. After coming off of last week where I got tangled up, I believe it was in a heat and in the feature in some sort of incident on the start, I knew that I had to be a bit more reserved here. And on top of that, it also seemed like it was just like what I would call, I don't want to say moving roadblocks, but everybody else is trying to overtake, and there's really nowhere for me to make an overtake, so I just sort of sat behind and waited, because whenever there's an overtake made, I know there's going to be one car that's a bit off pace, and I just picked off the easy passes rather than stress myself out trying to dive people into the braking zone.
Fair enough. All right, 2 feature races down, starting at the back for the... 2 sprint races down, starting at the back for the 30-minute feature, 30% fuel loads. What are you feeling for those final 30 minutes of this season?
Final 30 minutes, just try to go the same way as I did in that second sprint race. Try not to get into any trouble like I did last week at Road Atlanta, and hopefully come out with a win. But overall, it's been a good season so far, so let's hope that we can end it off the same way that it's been most of the way through.
Absolutely. This is our points leader by a large enough margin to say that he's probably clinched it. I haven't gotten any official word. I'm just assuming that you have clinched the title, Mr. Nick Ludicky. So congratulations on that. Best luck to you in your final 30-minute feature race of the season, Nick. And yeah, hopefully we'll talk to you on the far side. Oh,
Sounds great. Thank you.
Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, that is driver of the number 16 Porsche Cup Car, Nick Ludicky. And again, he's been absolutely on it. This entire season, Nick Ludicky has been the driver to absolutely keep an eye on. And I mean, you can tell by the way he carries himself in the interviews. Like, he knows what he has to do anytime he has the car anywhere. You know, I say that, and you saw him, you know, on the limit there on the final lap. He doesn't even have to be pushing, because theoretically he had a large enough gap to hold on without even pushing. But he, from last season, where he was pushing probably a little too much in the, you know, the normal GT3 car to this Porsche Cup car. I don't know if it's the car that suits him better, or if he's matured a little bit as a driver, but his driving style, even though it's still pedal to the metal every second, it looks a lot more calculated this season.
Yeah, exactly. It's just pinpoint perfect. We haven't seen a mistake from him, you know, unless obviously, as he mentioned, getting caught up in 2 instances on last week's race. But you know, he has just been perfect. You know, no mistakes throughout the season, win after win after win after win. So I mean, he has just been on point, and I loved how calm he was on the interview, just like it was, I'm not gonna say a Sunday drive, but a casual drive, you know, not nerves of steel. The nerves of steel, I should say, not nervous at all. And I guess that's just the small qualities that you have to have, you know, that composure, just to treat it race after race. And well, I mean, he talks not only on the interview just so calm, but he also does the talking on the track with great, you know, race vision. You know, as he mentioned, he knew when people were going to make a move. He knew that the other guy was going to be slow, off the pace, off the line, and that's the right moment essentially to tackle and to avoid any possible incident. And he did that to perfection, got into first place on that same occasion. And yeah, I'm pretty sure with 30 minutes he can even take things a lot more easy due to the double distance, and only time will tell how he'll tackle this final race.
Absolutely. Well, we got a moment here. It's time to thank some of our partners here at Pit Stop TV, like Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music. You provide the image that you want, and we will custom create a beautiful framed, high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. TucsonSoundArt.com for additional info is the place to go. TucsonSoundArt.com. Make sure you use promo code PitStopTV at checkout. You'll receive 10% off of your purchase. Once again, that is TucsonSoundArt.com, promo code PitStopTV. Ever wished you could have a race engineer on speed dial? Well, now you can, thanks to RacePace, a driver development service and setup shop all in one. Work with Tyler, a real-world race engineer, to step up your game before your next race. Pick up pace with RacePace. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. With locations in Auburn, Lewiston, Naples, and Saco, Maine, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine owner Ashley Boyer is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. Contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com, or you can call or text them at 207-358-8683. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. The official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, like these beautiful cameras you see here, the beautiful overlays we have each and every week, done by our own Andrew Cardinale IV. Make sure you check out pitstoptv.com, www.pitstoptv.com. You can grab your iBroadcast cameras today, and of course, BAM Racing videos by a race fan for the racing community. And now, with just over 75 seconds till warm-up ticks over into race session, we're going to step aside for a quick moment. We'll be right back with the starting grid and the action in the final feature event here for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series.
Sound Art introduces an entire way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome, race fans, back to the action here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca here in Monterey County, California. The final 30-minute feature race of the season for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series. Those are all of our social medias here. Once again, JP Costa joins me alongside a skeleton crew, if you will. Only Eric Brennan and I on the BRP broadcast earlier. JP and I will bring you the action for the next 30 minutes and then some here for the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It's time to go through our starting lineup. Row number 1, Jimmy Allen. He'll be starting alongside BC Voigt. Row number 2, we'll find Brady Lubenow and Corey Peters. Row number 3, James Hansen, Mikael Ruderbusch locked in a dead heat coming into today's race for third in the championship standings. Ruderbusch has the edge for now, but will he hold on to it as Nick Ludicky will round out the grid? So here we go. Getting ready. It's time. We're actually getting ready to go racing. We're green from Laguna Seca. Look at the launch off the line for Brady Lubenow. Car off the track. That's Corey Peters going around.
Yet again, another perfect start for Brady Lubenow. I mean, he has just absolutely nailed, but unfortunately, Peters, again, kind of getting involved in a lap 1 incident, is going to find himself in the back of the grid. But I guess he was lucky enough not to take any damage because that Porsche seems to be absolutely pinpoint perfect, but well, the rest of the grid seems to be going fine. James Hansen is still ahead of Mikael Ruderbusch, now in second already. Mikael and Nick already in third and fourth, so we do have the formation once again, but differently, Brady is leading and Hansen is in second.
Oh, not anymore, because Brady Lubenow has gone off the track. There goes BC Voigt into third. Nick Ludicky back here as well. Maybe Ludicky made contact with Corey Peters since he's back there. But Brady Lubenow back to fourth, BC Voigt to third, and it's James Hansen leading. Does James Hansen take third place in the standings with a feature race victory here tonight? We'll have to see how it all plays out all over the grass. There's a lot of battles all over the place. I want to get us to that replay of the lap 1 incident, but off the track is James Hansen. Here comes Mikael Ruderbusch. We just can't leave this right now.
Now this is going to be interesting. The last time they were together, he unfortunately Hansen lost the lead, and looks like that's going to be more the same as Mikael finds himself in P1 at the moment as he goes down the inside on Hansen. Lubenow makes the move on BC Voigt, so we do have Ruderbusch, Hansen, Lubenow, Voigt. Everything is changing all at that moment. I'm not going to mention any names because as soon as I mention Lubenow, he made a mistake, so I'm going to keep it clear.
I want to say Jimmy Allen, I believe, has missed the start of this race. Yeah, he is not on track. So it is a 6-car feature event here. Mikael Ruderbusch leads James Hansen, Brady Lubenow, BC Voigt, Corey Peters, and Nick Ludicky. Let's go ahead and try to get a replay and see what just happened on that first lap.
That was absolutely wild. I thought everybody came unscathed but Corey Peters, but looks like we did have a few instances. As you can see, just Corey kind of got a good start. He was already in third, but he did have Hansen on the inside and kind of just squeezed him in. But I mean,
Ludicky
he
went
kind of
straight
saved the
off.
car. It looks like yeah, Ludicky just completely missed his braking zone. Looks like he just, yeah, he tapped the wall, the tire barrier.
Wow, wow, wow. Once again, we'll get another look at what happened to Corey Peters here from up above. Try to get it here. Waiting for the lights to, I guess, go off here. As Mikael Rudebusch runs fastest lap. Brady Lubenow up to second. James Hansen is falling back to fifth. We'll have to catch up and see what happened there. But overhead, this is the start of the race. Corey Peters trying to squeeze Hansen down there. I don't know if he realizes Hansen's there. Ludicky goes fastest overall. You can see Ludicky on the bottom of your screen. Just goes straight off. And tries to keep it out the wall. I don't think he touched it.
Yeah, it may have been just a love kiss on the wall, just a tap. But looks like no damage done, as I'm pretty sure he may have been blinded by all the smoke by Corey Peters' car, because we all know the new smoke model, I guess, is just completely blinds you, and unfortunately for him, that may have been enough to kind of throw him off, and unfortunately, that's, I guess, the first mistake that we see out of him. So just as I mentioned Lubenow, and he makes a mistake. I mentioned on the pre-feature race segment that Ludicky has made a mistake on his own throughout the season, and both things just happened. So looks like my commentator's curse is on top of the game, and just as I mentioned that Hansen loses on the final corner, and he's gonna drop all the way down into fifth, and that could have serious implications on a championship.
Well, that's a replay. That's what happened to James Hansen. That's how he lost the lead, or lost the battle for the lead. You know, he was in second, and then he fell back to fifth, and then he falls back to sixth here because he locks it up into turn one. Or I'm sorry, turn two, the Andretti hairpin. Off of turn two, just minding his own business. We'll see here where he makes a mistake. A little bit of curbing there in turn three. He's falling back to sixth behind Ludicky, who again runs fastest lap, and you're off of four, just goes round.
May have been due to hot tires. Those tires may have been a bit overheated due to the lockup. Both lockups essentially to save that half spin, and unfortunately for him, he just lights up the tires once again. So sets of bad circumstances. Hansen was once leading this race, and now finds himself near last place. So not the greatest of starts of the race for James Hansen, but still plenty to go. So he needs to keep that head up high if he wants any chance at that third place spot.
So we'll run it down right now. It's Mikael Rudebusch leading over Brady Lubenow. BC Voigt in third, coming up the hill. He's got Corey Peters hot in pursuit in fourth. Nick Ludicky is quite a ways back. I don't know if Ludicky can make up this margin. He is 10.5 seconds back of Mikael Rudebusch.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see if Ludicky can make all this time up. We still only on lap 4 of 21, so he has plenty of time. We still have the pit stop, so anything can happen, but that is a big gap. And remember, it's not only 10 seconds if he's second place. He has to get past 3 cars in order to get to Mikael Rudebusch. 2 of them are battling between each other, so they're going to slow them down. And if they do decide to go side by side, that's going to allow Ludicky to close up. But still, as he goes fastest, he's definitely proving us that he has the pace. But once you get behind someone, it's definitely tricky to pass if they defend that inside line.
Well, I don't know. I guess I should stop doubting him, because he took that gap from 10.3 seconds to 9.6 seconds. It's back up to 10 seconds, so it's going to fluctuate through all the corners. But here we are, once again, the race leader, Mikael Rudebusch, leads over Brady Lubenow. And this is it here. This is, I mean, the battle for lead. I guess the battle for third, really, with BC Voigt, and Corey Peters is one to keep tabs on as well. So we'll see what's going on back here. In a moment, BC Voigt has 0.3 of a second over Corey Peters. Has come up the hill. Here we go. Down to Rahal straight. Voigt defensive. Peters trying to see what he can do into the corkscrew.
And this is everything that Ludicky needs. These two battling. These two essentially pushing to the limits. And, well, they're on the edge of making a mistake. We saw plenty of times how tricky these cars are and how easy it is to make a mistake. So if these two can keep going at it side by side, outbraking each other, all this sort of stuff, that's just going to allow Ludicky to get closer and closer each and every single lap. And getting close, it's applying more pressure to those two. But if things stay the way that they are, we're going to probably see a brand new podium. But Emerson, remember, we still have a pit stop, so we could see a strategy game from Ludicky. I just thought about it. If he goes for the undercut, he could clear these two out, even without battling them on track.
You know what? he might just do that. Nick Ludicky, he really hasn't had to be in a position where he's had to undercut to get anybody. But I mean, he's pretty much locked up the championship. Why not try it, you know? That would be crazy to see Ludicky have to go, you know, on a strategy play just to see what spot he can get out of this race.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, because he's definitely faster than BC Void and Corey Peters. All due respect to those two drivers, but with them battling, they're going to be quite off the pace, you know, just applying that pressure. Sometimes you make a mistake here and there. That's just going to allow Ludicky to get closer, and as soon as they hit that pit stop window, if Ludicky pits, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 laps earlier, and he can just pump out those quali laps, you know, one after the other, he might just clear these two out, because they're going to be locked in a titanic battle. So it's going to be interesting to see if a strategy play could come in handy, or if he's just going to try to do it on track. But we all know how difficult that is, even if you have the pace advantage.
Right. We'll try to see what's going on back out in front. That gap continues to fluctuate between Ruderbush and Luba now. I assumed it fluctuates in the braking zones for sure, but we'll move on up in a moment here where we can. Gonna catch up with Luba now and Ruderbush. Ruderbush, that gap has actually closed, so we'll see what's going on up here. We go with Ruderbush over Luba now. That's 0.6 of a second. It was over a second at the start-finish line. So Ruderbush maybe a little offline a couple corners, and now Lubinau's right there once again.
Yeah, exactly. Ruderbush took on all the pressure from Henson before, and he has to do it all over again. But with Brady Lubinau on his back, Brady is a race winner on the Pacific Challenge Cup Series. So, I mean, it's not like you don't have a guy that's not going to challenge you. He definitely will, as wins, as you can see, just 2 miles an hour. They're not going to be a major factor, at least so far. So it's going to be interesting to see if Brady has the pace, if he's saving a bit of fuel to get that pit stop advantage. But, you know, if just those small mistakes, just that tiny bit of, you know, just wheel dipping into the dirt, that's going to cost Ruderbush a few tenths of a second. And, well, that's all you needed. Just as I mentioned that, look at that in third place. Who is it? Nick Ludicky gets past both drivers. It looks like Corey Peters had a massive up, because he's 8 seconds behind BC Void.
We'll have to see what happened here. We'll try to get caught up here. We'll get replays for sure in just a moment. Here's Nick Ludicky up there in the third position. He is ahead of BC Void. Gonna try to get our replays queued up here. We're working lap 8 of 21 in this race. Again, it's more the timed event, 19 and a half, less, coming up to about 19 minutes left in this race. But let's go ahead and get our replays in to see what just happened. And James Hansen is also out of the race.
So they may just do it, unfortunately for Hansen's championship aspirations, to finish third. But we're going to take a look at what happened between Corey Peters and BC Void, as though to may have, looks like we may see some contact at the corkscrew. BC Void kind of just allows Corey Peters to go, and Corey just completely overshoots, just misses the corner, and that was a big miss by BC Void, luckily for him. And then he finds himself under pressure from Nick Ludicky, as Corey Peters just then comes back on the racing circuit. So after BC Void yielded the position, he unfortunately proceeded to outbrake himself, and that's all the invitation that Nick needed. So not a carbon copy from what we saw in the sprint race number 2, but just seeing those two drivers coming together, and he just takes 2 positions for free.
Absolutely. We're going to try to see what happened to James Hansen here, if there is anything that happened. Trying to find it quite a ways back, if it did. Oh, he was stopped on the track. Try to see what happened to James Hansen here. We'll go back. This is a little ways back, but let's see. This is James Hansen. He has left the session. He's now 3 laps out of the session. And comes down through the corkscrew. Let's see. He's I mean, is this maybe a quit? End of the season, things not going your way after a crazy start. I don't know. I mean, he was ahead of Ludicky, I thought, you know. So let's see here, a little wide there off the final corner. No, that's Jimmy Allen, I believe. Jimmy Allen has made his way onto the track. And
Yeah, looks like Jimmy Allen, but yeah, as you mentioned, it's extremely weird because he seems to be on point with the car, and well, eventually, obviously, his car will stop, but it's just a question of where. Was it a mistake that led to the stopping? Was it just a bit of frustration? We're gonna take a look because I'm pretty sure he was stopped on turn 5, so it's definitely coming up.
yeah, we went back a whole lap here. I want to say also Nick Ludicky, our perceived champion, has made his pit stops. I believe he is going for that undercut, JP. Here we go. James Hansen up the hill to turn 5 off of 6. I believe he said he was stopped. Not too sure. But we're not going to just watch him keep running laps. We'll see if we can find it one more time. Let's see here. He just ran it off the track. But, yeah, that'll do it for James Hansen. Brady Lubenow continues his lead out in front of Mikkel Ruderbusch. If it continues, that's not the right word. There's a lead change. I'll have to go back and find it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna mention if Mikkel came into the pits, but that gap is way too short for any pit stop action. So this was done on track. Now the question is, was it a mistake from Mikkel? So kind of something we didn't see all day long, and it may have come in the worst possible race. Definitely the feature race is the race that everybody wants to win. And judging by that, oh no, Emerson, I'm gonna think it was a mistake from Mikkel's part.
Well, we'll see here. He's leading here down the hill. The turn 9. This may come up. This may come up in the next lap or so. But Ruderbusch was doing his thing. He's actually closing back up to Brady Lubenow now. So it's also another thing. Also, BC Voigt. Never mind. I thought he was coming down the pit lane. He is not. False alarm. Could have been final corner though. So I was looking at the speed indicator for the most part. But Mikkel Ruderbusch off the final corner down the front straightaway. How does he give up this lead to Brady Lubenow? Well, we find out here. The turn 1. Into the hairpin, and it was all clean.
Yeah, obviously the gap between those two is not that massive, so this was a small mistake, a relatively small mistake. So I'm kind of expecting him just to essentially run off the road. He gets a bit in that sausage curb, but it's not enough to upset the car too much as he now heads into turn 5. Could we see a similar mistake to what James Hansen did in the first sprint race?
I do know it
Not
comes up
quite.
on this part of the lap. From here
Yes.
through turn 10. I don't know where it happens, and is that it right there? Oh,
there
it's
we
right
go.
there.
That essentially, that dirt just pulls you in, and unfortunately he kind of overcorrected the car into that dirt, and that just made things worse. So a terrible way to yield your lead, your race lead. But if he's catching up, which I'm pretty sure he is, we might still have a battle in our hands. But as you mentioned, Emerson, Nick came into the pits a bit early, and that could play out in the long term for him, but only time will tell. He just has to be putting those qualifying laps right now and just keep closing up that lead lap after lap.
So we know he's going to be ahead of BC Voigt. I'm sorry, Corey Peters when things shake out. Will Nick Ludicky be ahead of BC Voigt is the question. I believe actually he'll get ahead of BC Voigt. It's going to come down to, can he be ahead of Ruderbusch? Nick Ludicky is, because if everybody has to take 29 seconds down the pit lane, then Ludicky should be somewhere between second and third at the moment, the way things are shaking out. Now we'll have to see. And Ruderbusch, he is putting in the time. He is trying to close up on Brady Lubenow. We'll ride on board.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be pushing because he knows he has the pace to challenge Brady for the win, and he wants to be the third winner of the season. I'm pretty sure if 3 people are going to win, he definitely wants to be the third, finishing third, being the third winner, winning the third race of the night. I mean, it kind of all comes together perfectly, but for all that to happen, he still needs to finish ahead of Lubenow. And well, that's a challenge. We all know how difficult it is, not only to overtake on this racetrack, but to overtake Lubenow, who made a small mistake on the first few laps of the race, made a few mistakes throughout the championship, but I'm not pretty sure he's gonna be wanting to make one mistake right now with less than 8 laps to go.
Absolutely. Luba now, I mean, again, the only other driver this season to take a checkered flag other than Nick Ludicky. And, I mean, all he has to do is just, well, I mean, oh man. I continue to look at the gap, and Ruderbush just continues to close. And we've seen this all race long, all event long, in the sprint races as well. Ruderbush and Luba now. And this is what it's going to come down to. This could potentially be a feature race victory, and insert Nick Ludicky when things cycle out as well. This can get wild between these top two.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, as soon as you drop, as soon as he made a mistake, as he comes down into pit road, so he's going to be looking for a small undercut, possibly covering up Nick Ludicky as he gets all slowed down in that very, very tricky pit entry. And, as soon as he goes back into second, he switches from the defensive mode. You're just looking in your mirrors, looking at the relative box, seeing that gap kind of shrink and then expand, and you just turn into attack mode, and you just focus on attacking, and essentially that's all it's going to count. Now, if he comes back behind Nick Ludicky, that's going to shake up the whole thing up, as Corey Peters and BC Voigt both come into the pits.
Oh, there's Ruderbush leaving.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, Ruderbush is leaving, and he might just have the edge on Nick Ludicky.
Here we go, over the crest in turn one. Ruderbush is down in the hairpin, but that's a slower corner he's got to take. But Ludicky's got a faster corner, but a longer corner. And Mikael Ruderbush is out in front of Nick Ludicky.
He came out ahead. The strategy, unfortunately for Nick, may have not worked as he planned, but he's definitely closer, and he's definitely faster at this moment in the race. So it's going to be interesting to see if and when Nick closes up. And for Mikael, I mean, essentially he has to put in a perfect lap, hope that Brady makes a small mistake and loses a bit of time, and we're just gonna see, will Brady? Yeah, Brady will dive down into pit road. So it's just gonna be a question of nailing that pit entry,
wow,
nailing your pit box, and nailing the exit to keep that lead intact.
He surely nailed that pit entry. That was beautiful. So here he comes down the pit lane. 34 miles per hour. That is a crawl, while the rest of your competitors are doing upwards of 140 miles per hour, 150, depending on where they are around the track. And there he is, down and away. Ruderbush off the final corner. Here we go. How is this undercut gonna do anything?
Looks like he might not be close enough, and looks like that gap may have increased, if anything. So interesting to see if Brady may have taken less fuel, and if that might cost him a bit at the end of the race. Only time will tell. But looks like the gap has definitely increased between those two.
Well, here we go. The times in the box. In the box for Brady Luba now, 7.4 seconds. Granted, he has to take the least amount of fuel. In terms of like laps left, I mean, he only has 6 laps left in this race. Ruderbush, maybe I think they're all gonna take the same amount of fuel because they all need the same amount of fuel to make it to the end. But I mean, I don't know. Ruderbush 8.2 seconds in the box to Nick Ludicky's 10.1 seconds. So a lot of fluctuation there. But at the moment, the closest battle now once again is Corey Peters and BC Voigt.
Looks like these two are inseparable. Even on the pit lane, those two came together and came out together, so the battle is still gonna rage on. But as you mentioned, that's an interesting difference in the pit box, because I was just gonna mention, if Ludicky took 10 seconds and Ruderbush took only 8, that's a reasonable amount of fuel for 2 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot of fuel coming into the car. But then you have Brady with 1 second less, so that could be worrying towards the end of the race, but hopefully it isn't. We're gonna find out in 5-6 laps time, but it's definitely gonna be interesting. But I'm more interested in this battle for P4 because these two seem to have the exact same pace, because they just keep on trading places.
Absolutely. And this again, we saw the point standings in BC Voigt where he was, and Corey Peters, and the amount he can gain here on Wade Hayes and Chris Brunnemer. Corey Peters is having a nice little run as well. I mean, not only, because of the count on where it's at, but Corey Peters up in 4th place. Just doing a nice little job keeping his car, well, I'd say keeping his car on the track, but it's been a little bit of a rough one for him. Nonetheless, it's been something. But again, the closest battle on track here for the 4th position, Corey Peters and BC Voigt.
I mean, I don't want to say anything because my mouth tonight has just caused problems for these drivers. But Corey Peters, as he came into this race, he found himself 19 points behind James Hansen. James Hansen currently is DNFing, as you can see, 10 laps down, and he had unfortunately bad luck on not only hit race number 1, but he raced number 2. If Corey Peters, if he somehow turns into a magical weekend, a magical race, we may see a shift for 4th place in the championship.
Right, Michael Rudebush looks very destined for 3rd, but as you said, yeah, Hansen, he could fall back into clutches of the rest of the drivers. It was, once again, well, let's see if we can get a look here at the standings here before too long coming into today's race. Try to give our scoring pylon on the left side a break today. And let's go through our standings once again. Coming into today's race, Corey Peters, sorry, BC Voigt was the one who can make up the spots on Wade Hayes and Chris Brunnemer, which easily will on Wade Hayes. Should make easy hay on Chris Brunnemer. And there it is, Hansen again, yeah, 19 points ahead of Corey Peters. And let's think back to what was, you know, the runs he had in sprint race 1 and 2. Hansen's had a very fast car, but some rough goes, man. And Corey Peters has been just consistent enough. They might come to a tie. They might even out depending on how the point system puts them. And then this is all coming into tonight's race. At this point, Nick Ludicky has secured what's rightfully his for a dominating 5 weeks in the month of May. He is out 1 checkered flag to Brady Lubenow, but will he be out 2?
And will he be out 2 for the same guy that outed him? So Brady Lubenow could come, you know, in 2 weeks, 2 wins. Could happen. Rudebush definitely wants his first win in the Pacific Challenge Cup Series. Could also happen. The gap is down to 2.8, so kind of fluctuating between that order. Only 4 laps to go, so time is kind of running out. But, you know, Nick is still 5 seconds behind, so that mistake on lap 1 definitely costing him. So we might see Nick not even on P2, it might be P3 at this moment in time. And well, with 4 laps to go, time will tell, as now Corey Peters seems to be suffering from the pressure that BC Voigt is applying to him, because these two, as we mentioned, have been glued together so far in the race. And well, BC Voigt's definitely turning up the heat, turning up the pace right now, and may want that 4th position.
Here we go once again. Again up front, Brady Lubenow holds the race lead, 2.5 seconds over Michael Rudebush, 5 seconds over Nick Ludicky, and that's kind of how it's been up front for the past couple laps. We continue to watch this battle for 4th. It's the closest action on the track, but Corey Peters, who's had his own share of mistakes today, and BC Voigt, who rightfully wants to continue his way up the standings, putting on the pressure for the 4th position. What would it mean for both of these drivers to get 4th behind the likes of Lubenow and Ludicky for sure, and Rudebush, who's definitely brought a fast piece of machinery tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure it would mean the world to them. And obviously anything can happen up ahead. We could see a mistake. We could see drivers, you know, tumbling down. Mistakes can happen. Hard work can fail. So everything is still up for grabs for these guys. Even though they're 29, 30 seconds behind the leader, you know, it's still not over. You know, we saw plenty of times in motor racing, it's only over when the checker flag drops and you cross that finish line. So, you know, 2 laps to go. It's not like they're battling for the lead on the I guess literal term, but still anything can happen.
Here we go. 4.5 minutes left in this race. Actually, the timer has stopped counting down on my end. Try to see if we can fix itself. But Ludicky and Lubenow, they've gotten tight up front. To see what's going on up here. The top 3, they have all gotten tight. Well. We've got a race up front now with 2 laps to go. Just under 3 minutes remaining here at Laguna Seca.
And well, look at it. We do have yet another switch for the lead. That's Now Rudebush finds himself on the lead of the race with Lubinau close by and Ludicky in third place. So looks like Lubinau made a mistake all on his own, lost that 3-second gap, and finds himself in second place. So it's going to be interesting to see what happened, because 3 seconds is a big gap to lose.
Well, here we go. This is the replay of Lubinau into the corkscrew. And is it going to happen here? Oh, no. A little too much dirt on the exit of the corkscrew there, and Ruderbush files right on by. And boys, we've got a race now.
Exactly. I'm not pretty sure if you recall, Emerson, but Ludicky said that thing could happen, and he was afraid that it would happen to him. You can either get a slowdown or your car can spin. Luckily for Lubinau, it was only a half spin, and he could easily save it, but, well, now they're close together. Ludicky seems to have made a mistake on his own yet again, but these two are definitely close together. We only have I'm gonna guess less than 4 kilometers to go. And look at Lube now. He's just trying to eke out each and every single inch possible. And we could see a repeat of that fantastic IMSA race that we had a long time ago between Magnussen.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And this could just see a repeat, because as you can see now, Lube now flashing his lights just like we saw with Magnussen. And this could go all again to the line.
They're both flash. I don't know why Ruderbush is flashing. There's nobody ahead of him. Lubinau around the outside. Can he get the crossover through the hairpin? And boys, it says final lap, but the timer might expire after one of these drivers crosses the finish line. We could get another lap if iRacing's going to work like that, or if iRacing has already declared it the white flag. That's a different thing. But oh my goodness. Mikhail Ruderbush now has opened up the margin over Brady Lubinau as we head to turn 5.
A small mistake on turn 4 by Lubinau. He didn't take the optimal speed and he lost a bit of contact, but he's definitely flashing those lights with all his might, trying to offset any possible psychological advantage that he can from Mikhail Ruderbush. Doesn't seem to be working, but he has a big challenge right now. He's flashing his light as well, might be in celebration, but it's only over when it's over. He seems to nail the corkscrew, even misses a bit of the apex to avoid any sort of upset on the car. But look at Lubinau. He was stronger last lap. He's also stronger on this part of the racetrack. Could we see a dive bomb on the final corner?
Oh, the ditch effort for turn 10. Into turn 11, Lubinau giving it his all over the road. He's not going to get there. He's trying to send it. He's going to go around. Nick Ludicky gets on by, but Mikhail Ruderbush is going to win the feature event at Laguna Seca.
What a finale, what a final lap, what a race. Somehow Ludicky finds himself in second place. Brady Lubinau finishing third. Corey Peters seems to have gapped a bit of BC Void, and he's going to breathe on a sigh of relief as he comes into the final corner. It's not over. We saw a half spin happening, but he seems to have nailed. He's going to finish in fourth, and BC Void is going to round off the grid with a 5th place finish.
What a job for Mikhail Ruderbush. Right place, right time. I shouldn't even say that. He was fast all night long. I should not even discredit this race win like that in any means. He was definitely as fast or faster than Lubinau all night long, and he made one less mistake than Brady did.
And
a few less mistakes than Brady did at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's all that it counted. He made a mistake, he lost that lead, but he kept on digging. And that digging, that just 10th of a second each lap was enough to offset Lubinau into a small mistake on the corkscrew, and that was enough to swing the chances all towards his favor. And well, he did not disappoint after that.
Absolutely did not disappoint. We're waiting to see if there's any celebration from Mikhail Ruderbush. Nick Ludicky did not do any donuts. I don't know. I mean, they should be able to turn off the traction control on these cars, so they should be able to do donuts if these cars do have traction control. Yeah, they do, I believe. So, I mean, we'll see if there's any celebration from Ruderbush, or he's just going to park it up on the front straight, or what's he going to do here. But celebratory flashing of the headlights from Mikhail Ruderbush. And he's gonna do some donuts. He's gotta. What a job from Mikhail Ruderbush. Don't bin it. But what a job from Mikhail Ruderbush. Finally for him, for his sake, and only the 3rd different driver to win anything this season. Nick Ludicky has had all but 2 checkered flags. He lost 1 checkered flag to Brady Lubenow in Sprint Race 2 at Road Atlanta. And Mikkel Ruderbusch takes the final Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series checkered flag on the season.
Only the third driver to win the 3rd race of the night and finish off in 3rd place in the championship. I mean, everything came together, didn't it?
Absolutely. We're going to step aside real quick. On the flip side, we'll have post-race coverage here of the Pacific Challenge season finale. Porsche Cup Series action from Laguna Seca was a wild one once again. We're going to wrap it all up on the far side. We'll be right back.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome, race fans, back to Pit Stop TV, back here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, after a phenomenal showing once again. JP, the American road courses definitely proved to be some of the best ones for the Porsche Cup Car this season, and tonight's show had quite the winner. We have to talk to the man that definitely, he brought the heat tonight, Mr. Mikkel Ruderbusch, a winner in the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series. Not only a winner, a feature race winner. Mikkel, how did you get it done?
Woo, baby! that one felt good. I've been racing in this league for think it's my third full season, and finally got a win here in the last race of the season. Yeah, it was rough. Knew I had decent pace this evening. Obviously, Nick is always hard to keep up with. Had a good fight with Brady in the first race, and I believe the second one as well. They all kind of run together, but yeah, I was leading after a little while. Got past James. I think he had a little mishap and a little off there. I had Brady on my tail, but knew we were running a similar pace. Made a little mistake and came out a little behind in the pit stop, but knew if I could just keep it up. Laguna is very unforgiving, so just waited for him to make a mistake and prayed on that one a little bit, and seemed to pay off. But yeah, he brought the heat at the end, and man, I was sweating the last few laps there.
Absolutely. Honestly, Lubenow might have been the one sweating more. If we go back to the heat races and you were piling on the pressure on him, and then he had to put the pressure on you to try to get around you in heat race 2. Just talk about the dynamic with battling Brady all day. And did you even think that would be the battle for the feature victory tonight coming into maybe the heat races?
No, definitely not something I would have predicted. My main competitor on track tonight was James, since we were both tied for third coming in for the championship. So I was kind of keeping my eye on him, and everyone else was just if they could put a gap between me and James, maybe get some more points, or some strategic positioning of that. But I saw James having off in the feature race, and finished I think ahead of him in both of the heat races. So at that point, I was just going for the win. Get a W in that trophy case. So yeah, I didn't really expect it to come down to me and Brady, but once I knew that was a possibility, because Nick had a poor start there, and he was catching up at the end, but I knew those last few laps were just me and him, and man, I was sweating, but it was great fun, and great racing with Brady this season. The last few seasons, he's an awesome competitor.
Absolutely. Now, talk to us about tonight. Is Laguna Seca maybe just one of those tracks that you kind of gravitate towards a little bit more? Maybe because it's a free track on the sim and you're more likely to get more laps on it, or just an American road racing classic, or what was it about this track tonight that really shined for this 22 car?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty popular track, in real life and on the sim and other games. I remember growing up with one of the earlier Gran Turismos, one of my favorite tracks, but it's definitely not an easy track. There's a lot of elevation changes. You got the famous corkscrew. If you dip a tire off in the grass, which is really easy to do if you push in the limits of the car, you're always within a couple centimeters of that. It's very unforgiving. I typically do pretty well at Laguna. I think it kind of features my driving style, which I don't know why, but the pace seems to come a little easier here. But to keep it on track and keep that pace going for the whole race is difficult, but paid off tonight, and put some practice in. Definitely ended up all falling into place. So yeah, I enjoy coming to Laguna. I hope to make it there in real life one of these days. But yeah, everything fell into place today, and I think after tonight I'm gonna like Laguna a little bit more than usual.
Absolutely. One more question before I ask you to thank some people. What does it mean to you to come home? I mean, I guess I know it was a 5-race season, and Ludicky was so dominant. Lubenow got the other checkered flag before you tonight in the feature race. What does it mean to you to not only come away with third in the standings, but with the win in your pocket? Does that, I guess, add to your body of work, or what do you make of this season for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the official races in iRacing, when you first start off, you can kind of maybe get a couple wins or good finishes, but once you start making it to the top splits, there's always guys faster than you. It's really hard to come by wins in officials, and especially in a league like this with really good competitors that you can race close with, and they're racing close with you and others. We've had bigger fields with this Pacific Challenge, the various iterations of it, but I think the guys that stuck it out for this Porsche Cup League were really the sharp end of the field. So if you're taking the top 10 for most of the races, most of the guys are going to be in this league. So it's even though it's a smaller field, it still feels really good to go against the best of the best and eke out a win tonight. So yeah, it's great racing in this league, and it means a lot to get a win that don't come easy and that don't come often. So it feels good. You know, I had a lot of podium finishes this season, but it's something special to win. You know, not just finish second or third.
Absolutely. So once again, congratulations on the victory tonight. Who do you have to shout out? Who do you have to thank for your body of work this season, the third in the standings, and of course the speed that you brought tonight here at Laguna Seca for the amazing runs into heats and the feature race victory?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Pacific Sim Motorsport, PSM, my team. They, push me each and every week, and we make each other better racers, and they're great guys. We all actually met each other, at least a lot of us, in real life last week, and had a good karting race between each other, and had some beers after. So, a bunch of great guys. Love to thank my girlfriend. She's awesome, super supportive. She always knows when I have a race, and excited to tell her I got to win after this one. And yeah, I'd like to thank my dad too for getting me into racing. So, it's been a big thing of mine throughout my life, and yeah, big shout out to him. Thank you guys. You guys put on a great product. So, do an awesome job.
Thank you. We can't put on a great product without great action on the track, and definitely tonight, you and Brady and the rest of the field put on a great show for us to cover tonight. Hopefully you enjoy, but more importantly, hopefully you celebrate this victory in style and the third place in the standings and all that good stuff. Congratulations, Mikkel. A great run. It's been a pleasure to I guess watch you and cover your racing here in the Pacific Challenge series of leagues, the iterations that it's been from Northwest to now. And yeah, just awesome to see you get one of these feature wins. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. You guys have a good night.
Absolutely, you too. That is race winner Mikkel Rudelbush. I think that's gonna sink in a lot for Mikkel. But there's more than one person happy tonight. Maybe not happy tonight with the way this race went. Nick, I know I'd say it's official now that you're the champion and you have reason to be happy. What is, I guess, what is hanging for you more, the winning the title or tonight's race and how it went, or what?
I've been thinking honestly more about tonight's race. Obviously, I had to make a massive comeback after the mistake I made in the beginning, and it wasn't entirely my fault, but because of the wreck that had happened in front of me, it was either drive straight into it or take an alternate route. Ended up locking up the fronts, nearly sent it into the wall. Luckily came away with no damage, but I think the gap at one point was up to between 15 and 20 seconds. And from there on out, it was just keep clocking as fast laps as you can, forget about tire wear, and just keep on chugging along.
So when you were in that position, I know you were behind Hansen, who made his retirement, I think 5 laps into the race, and you were catching BC Voigt and Corey Peters, who were having an absolute dogfight of a battle. Was that on your mind, that you were catching, that hard of a battle? Were you trying to maybe stay out of that, or my co-commentator JP even mentioned maybe you would undercut to just get out of that battle, or what were you thinking? And maybe if you saw it on the relative more than anything, how hard Corey Peters and BC Voigt were battling.
The undercut was on my mind the whole time. It was just a matter of when to take it. So once I had realized that I was coming onto the lap that I would actually strike that battle, it sort of became, okay, we're going to spend... I don't want to waste too much time, so it's like take one lap. If you can get through them, good. If not, you can't waste any more time sitting behind them. So you have to go for the undercut and go back to clocking laps again.
Fair enough. So let's talk about the body of work. Every checkered flag this season, but 2 have gone to you. What does that say about your effort on the sim, your body of work, and how does it feel to put this whole 5-race season together and come out on the top of the standings?
It definitely it feels really good compared to where I was, I guess, putting in time back in the GT3 series. I've been putting in a lot more time, especially knowing what could be coming up in the future in terms of sim racing. I've been, I guess, taking it a bit more seriously, focusing on it more, spending more time. It's not always just going in and doing races and clocking laps. A lot of times it's sitting there trying to learn how to make a setup and tailor it to you to find that extra tenth or two. And I guess my approach overall in terms of prepping for a race, practicing for a race, the minutes leading up to a race, everything has changed. And overall, winning this championship has, I don't want to say it's proven that I've gotten far better, but in a sense it has. Just because, as you guys have said many times, looking back at last season, I had times where I was leading the race, like at Road America, and took myself out. Running in third at Bathurst and took myself out on the first lap. And luckily this season we didn't have any of that other than in this race, but it wasn't like just you're sitting there clocking laps and then all of a sudden you dip a tire and wreck yourself out. The incident that happened today was mainly because of the wreck that happened right in front of me.
Right. And I completely agree. I mentioned after we interviewed you in the warm-up session, it's almost as if we've seen you either mature a bit as a sim driver or learn something different between, you know, the GT3 series and this Porsche Cup series. There's something, I guess, that clicked in that offseason or something that I think really made you a consistent driver this season. I don't know if you know what that is, or if you kind of already just shared in that response prior what it was for you.
Yeah, a lot of it came down to, in order to finish first, you first have to finish, is a classic saying in motorsports. So in my practice, rather than where last season it was, okay, go out and do 2 or 3 laps and just try to lay down a heater, now it's turned to, okay, we need to find our pace and then make it consistent and then find more pace. And it's that constant cycle of finding the extra tenth and then making it to where you can replicate it lap after lap.
That's awesome. So the whole body of work, it's come to a close. The month of May, the month of Nick Ludicky, as JP said early on our broadcast. Who do you have to shout out? Who do you have to thank for the amazing month you've had?
So, I mean, I can rattle off a long list, but I'd like to again touch back on who I talked about last week, my father. I don't know if the liveries were up and working this week, and it was able to be seen, but the Hanek Auto logo on the side, that's his business. I mean, he has worked his tail off to teach me everything he has thus far in motorsports, to give me the opportunities I've had and any opportunities I will have coming in the future with motorsports. Massive thank you also to my mom. She stands behind my passion with this endlessly, along with my girlfriend as well. I know it may not be the most amazing thing to have this be a reason that we sacrifice our time together, but this is the way it is, and she fully stands behind me as well. And lastly, my best little helper, my dog. 99% of the time I'm on the sim, he's sitting right behind me, so I have to shout out him at least one time this season.
Absolutely. We're a fan of all pets here at Pit Stop TV. Wanting to make them to start a show sometimes. But no, for sure, the amazing work you put in this season, in the off season, and throughout the weeks leading up to each and every race, it did not go unnoticed. It was clearly on display week after week. Nick Ludicky, the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series champion, absolutely dominated the month of May. Driver, brother, congratulations on the amazing job you did this month.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you guys also for the amazing broadcast you guys put on.
Absolutely. We can't do it without drivers in action on track, so thank y'all. Driver of the number 16, our Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series champion, Mr. Nick Ludicky, and now JP standing by with our third place finisher. And the other side of that intense battle for the race lead, JP is standing by with our Brady Lubenow.
So Brady, before we touch on the incidents that happened, the events that came up on the feature race, talk us through qualifying and talk us through the first the two sprint races.
Oh man, it's hard to like keep track of all the incidences now. Qualifying, Mikel was right behind me at the beginning, and he was getting a little bit of toe off me, and he was hustling me along, and I made a mistake, and then I let him by, and then I kind of returned the favor and followed him and got his toe, and I just bested him by like, I don't know what, 0.06 of a second. I thought that was kind of funny. Poor Mikel. But so that was qualifying. Heat 1 was I tried to pass Nick at the beginning. Didn't quite work out, and then I just tried to stay with him. And Mikel was hustling me around the entire time, and I'd make mistakes, and I had to defend, and he couldn't get around me. It's a hard track to pass on. That was Heat 1. Heat 2, I was trying to pass Mikel, and I really wanted to before Nick kind of got up to us. He was like a little bit, like a half second back, and I was like right on Mikel's rear, and I had to lock up like 10 meters into my braking, and that was kind of the end of Heat 2 for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a small mistake that unfortunately cost you big time, and then we came up obviously to the feature race, the big event, and it has been the story throughout the season. I have noticed that you just seem to nail the start of this car. You just seem to be the best launcher of this car, and then eventually you found yourself in P2 or P3, sorry, before Hansen had his mistake. And the story of tonight was essentially you and Mikel. You two were just tied in a titanic battle. You seem to have essentially the same pace. And what was your reaction when you saw finally Mikel making that small mistake on the exit of turn 6 and you taking the lead?
I was sad, actually. I wanted it to be like an on-track pass, or at least try. So when he went off, I was kind of sad. But then I don't know if I was like 2 or 3 seconds back, and he started catching me before the pit stop, but I had a faster pit stop than him. And then he started catching me a little bit, but I was able to maintain, and then I kind of got a little bored and started racing my Delta, and then I binned it in the corkscrew, and after that it was kind of I want to pass Mikel, and it's win it or bin it, and you saw what happened in the last turn.
Well, we are going to mention, because of the pit stop, you were 3 seconds quicker on the pit stops than Nick Ludicky, and I was actually quite worried that you may have underfueled the car by quite a bit. But yeah, after that small mistake that you had, essentially had a half spin, it was just amazing seeing how faster you were on the last sector of the racetrack. Essentially, after the corkscrew, you just seemed to catch up a whole lot. And it just reminded me, I mentioned on the broadcast, Magnussen attacking on that fantastic race that we had in IMSA on this racetrack. And it just reminded me of it. But unfortunately, last lap, you just had a small mistake. Was just overheating tires, maybe a bit too much ambition.
I got in the dirt and the car started going sideways, and I was kind of just one of those, like, in practices I've got in the dirt there and you can still maintain your speed, and I tried to do that, and the car just, I don't know, got a little the tires got a little overheated, and then I just probably, tried to push the braking zone a little bit more, and it was just too much, and I lost the rear.
And then unfortunately, sorry, go ahead.
Speaking of the Magnussen battle, I should have totally done that to Mikel at the end there. It would have been awesome.
It would have definitely been an interesting finish, to say the least. But unfortunately for you, it costed second place on the race. Luckily, it didn't cost you second place on the standings. And well, you got a win on this season, on this whole month of May. Obviously, not ideal. Everybody wants to win as many races as possible. But how do you reflect on the season so far?
I think that this whole series was just, it was a lot of fun. And I think everybody had the same mentality that we all just wanted to have close, fun, hard racing with everybody. I mean, we changed the format, partway through the season to try to help that along, and I think it turned out to be a great series. And I mean, I don't really care that much about the standings, and I don't think a lot of people did, but just the battling on the track was the best.
It was definitely so nice to see everybody, with this amazing car. This is one of my favorite cars on iRacing. I don't even own it, but seeing it drive is just amazing. And you guys definitely put on a show, and I cannot wait to see what the next challenge will be for you guys. And I cannot wait to talk to you guys again after we're done on here tonight. And well, since you finished second, even though you may not care too much, who do you have to thank for your result here tonight?
I always got to thank my cat, Trilobite. I mean, he probably fell asleep, during this race. So I didn't have his support as much. That's probably why I've binned it so many times. But other than that, my parents, thanks for watching. Love you guys. That's it. Well,
I'm pretty sure they're all happy with your result. And well, It was amazing having you here tonight talking with us. It was amazing seeing you out on the racetrack. Please keep it up because, boy, you make our job so interesting, and it's so nice to see you driving around and just tackling this race car.
Thank you so much.
And Emerson, that was the driver number 11, Brady Lubenow, our second place finisher on the championship, third place finisher on the feature race.
Yes, it was Brady Lubenow again, the third place finisher in a hard charging battle he had against Mikael Rudebusch. He was leading. We thought it was going to be just Brady Lubenow. Ended up not. It was Mikael Rudebusch on the other end of that battle for most of the race. And that's just how it shook down between those two. Let's go ahead and let's just go through the results anyway while we're at it. Mikael Rudebusch, Nick Luedecke, Brady Lubenow, the top three. We already talked to them. Mikael Rudebusch, of course, the race winner, the feature race winner, the only feature race winner not named Nick Luedecke, and the only other driver to have a checkered flag this season not named Nick Luedecke or Brady Lubenow. So the top three are the only three who've taken checkered flags this season. But man, oh man, that battle between Corey Peters and BC Voigt we covered for oh so long. James Hansen came in, ran 5 laps after some mistakes early. He will not take third in the standings, especially with Mikael Rudebusch's great run tonight in all the heats and the race wins. Jimmy Allen did not take the green. He did not take the grid. Very, very shocking that Jimmy Allen didn't dictate the green with, with what it was worth in the final race of the season. But maybe there was something that caused that. Nonetheless, that is how the 7 drivers came to the checkered here at Laguna Seca. JP, final thoughts on the action we saw tonight? I mean, with 7 drivers, with 6 drivers taking the green, and with 5 drivers after lap 5, I can't believe we had that good of a finish.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just, I guess, one of the magics that we do have from reverse grid. Just putting those drivers in different situations that allow them to excel in their own different ways, and putting the fastest driver in a position to chase instead of just running away just provides us with great racing, even though we don't have a stacked field, with 20, 30, 40 cars. But it's still, these guys just put on a show week after week, car after car. We saw with the GT3, we saw with the Cup Car. So it's just been amazing. I cannot wait to see what they're gonna do next. I'm not sure which direction they're gonna take, but I'm sure it's gonna be exciting, and I'm sure it's gonna provide great racing.
Absolutely, and we couldn't do what we do here at Pit Stop TV without the love and the support from our partners like Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music. Use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your wall-mounted sound art device today. By Race Pace. Pick up pace with Race Pace, a community-driven setup, shop, and driver development program. By Permanent Makeup in Maine. You deserve the best care that money can buy. And by Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. And by BAM Racing Videos. By a race fan for the racing community. JP, once again, I bring it back to you. Not only now, we talk about Laguna Seca, we talk about the 5 races that we had, again, with the Nürburgring and Orem Park, Hockenheimring, Road Atlanta today, the body of the season, the inner battles we had all season long, Nick Luedecke's dominance. What do you make of these 5 races in this month of May, and what mark is leaving you the most after this month?
Well, definitely these guys, this was just such a great experience seeing the Porsche Cup cars. They just drove around different kinds of circuits. We saw, as I mentioned before, Formula 1 circuits, Tier 1 circuits on the FIA standards. We saw some circuits that don't even exist no more, like Orem Park, and, the cars, the drivers, all this sort of stuff, they provided great racing throughout those circuits. They didn't really even matter. Different challenges, elevations, runoff areas, curbs, all of those challenges just came together, and each and every single driver excelled and, just kept their head up high. And, well, I'm definitely going to be missing these on my Monday/Tuesday time zones. And Well, I mean, cannot wait to see what they have in store, because I'm pretty sure it's just going to be as exciting as it is tonight. And I hope they have Interlagos for the next calendar, because, you know, that just lives in my heart.
Absolutely. Not only is it one, I think, the only Brazilian track on the service, but it's a great fun track to drive, and the history with it, with Formula One and everything. It is a fun circuit out there in Interlagos. But for me, this series was great. I was always, from the moment Pit Stop TV started covering Northwest GT3 series, I was always on it. I wanted to be on every one of these broadcasts, and I think I made every single one, but I think maybe 2. For some, I know I fell asleep for the Northwest GT3 Championship finale at Zolder. I know I really wanted to make that one, and I fell asleep before that one. But other than that, I tried to make every single one of these broadcasts. I love this series. I love the work the admins put on in this series, and just having sports cars to cover has always been a blast for me. With that being said, for Pit Stop TV, at least for a minute, not too much more sports car racing. What we have coming up, again, the Nork iRacing Series. They take the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars to the iRacing Super Speedway. I've been told now they will have a modified fixed setup for iRacing Super Speedway. I don't know if you knew, the Xfinity cars struggled a little bit on turn 1 entry, so they are making a modified setup for that purpose, and it should hopefully make an even better race. So those drivers will be roaring right into turn 1 without really a care. Well, I shouldn't say without a care, but without having to worry about the car coming snapping around on them, and it should be a fun race tomorrow night. iRacing Super Speedway, 67 laps. You won't want to miss it. Nork Action Season 13 continues then. Wednesday night, the BRP Asphalt Modified Tour, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night at the Concord Speedway. And Monday night, no longer a doubleheader for Pit Stop TV, at least for now, is the BRP Pro Dirt Late Model Season 2 Tour at Tony Stewart's Eldora Speedway in Roseburg, Ohio. Yeah, that's going to conclude our coverage tonight of the Pacific Challenge Cup Series from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. We at Pit Stop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Again, make sure you follow us at all of our social channels there at facebook.com/Pit Stop TV, at Twitter at twitter.com/Pit Stop TV _ Instagram, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, YouTube at youtube.com/C/Pit Stop TV1, and on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV. And for the last time tonight, our skeleton crew, with Eric Brennan and I on the call, BRP earlier, but tonight, more importantly, JP Costa, the amazing JP Costa, joining me on commentary tonight and legging it out on the difficult task at that, but a fun one. JP, thank you for all the work you put on this season with us here at the Pacific Challenge Porsche Cup Series and being our co-commentator here. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And myself, Emerson Arden, on commentary and production tonight. If you want to join our crew and help out in instances like this, make sure you shoot an email to Andrew at pitstoptv.com, and he'll hook you up, and we'll start seeing if we can get you on some of our shows in the near future. That being said, once again, you all have a great night. You all stay safe. Happy Memorial Day to all of those. It's now Tuesday, June 1st for most people. It's still Monday at 11:24 p.m. my time, so it's still Memorial Day for another 36 minutes. Just want to once again thank all the servicemen and women who've served in the United States Armed Forces, but more importantly, we have to honor and remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for us to do what we do. And again, we wouldn't be able to do anything of this nature without those people giving their lives for our freedoms here in this country. And just once again, major respect, honor, and thanks to those who fought with their and gave up their lives for us to do what we do. Once again, you have a great night. You all stay warm, or stay cool. Stay cool. I know it got cool in some parts of the nation as well, and all the world. You all stay safe. We'll see you on the far side.